And here it is, the 2020 RadRover Step-Thru 1. I have just over 100 miles on this bike and I'm loving it so far. I've always been interested in e-bikes and finally pulled the trigger. Today I want to share with you 7 reasons why I chose this as my first e-bike. I by no means claim to be an expert. I just want to share my experience with you and maybe help you along the way with your decision-making process. All right, let's jump into it.
In no particular order, let's go ahead and start with number 1, the price. For $1,500, I got this bike shipped to my front door in March of 2020. If you ask me, that's a heck of a deal. You do have to assemble the bike. I believe Rad Power only has 2 physical locations where you can buy their bikes at, one in Seattle and I think one somewhere in Texas. That's a part of the reason why they're able to keep their costs down. It did take me about 2 hours to assemble this bike. It wasn't too complicated. They had very helpful walkthrough videos that I followed along with. I'm quite impressed with the overall quality of this bike and the look as well. If you see here, this is the matte black and orange finish option. They do have a white and orange RadRover Step-Thru 1 as well. I'm also impressed with the features that this bike came with, and let's go ahead and walk through some of those, starting with the front of the bike up here. Up front, we have these giant 4-inch Kenda Juggernaut tires that seem to run over just about anything. They do have a puncture-resistant tire casing. I'd imagine that changing a flat on this guy would not be so fun. For stopping power, we have mechanical disc brakes. They're not hydraulic, but they seem to do a fine job. We do have a lockable fork. I just flip this little switch here and I can get a bit more of an efficient ride. We do have fenders that come with a bike from the factory, which I like. I can be riding when it's wet, raining, and I'm not going to get soaked along my way. We have a headlight up front, an LED headlight. I've only ridden at night a couple times so far. I'm impressed with what I've seen. I intend to do a little more night riding, and hopefully I can report back to you guys and give you a more in-depth review of the headlight here. We do have Shimano components, so a Shimano shifter and a Shimano derailleur. This is a 7-speed bike. Rad Power does make the entry-level Rad Runner, which is a single speed. I rode it a couple times, liked it, but I wasn't a fan of the single speed, so I'm really happy with the 7-speed option that I have here. To power on the display, which also powers on the bike, we press this mode button here on the left for a couple seconds. You're going to see the display light up. The top left-hand corner, we have our battery percentage. Top right, I can also flip that to the trip mode, so when I'm riding on my current day, I can see how far I've gone. We have the speed in the middle. Bottom right, we have the current watts I'm putting out. Bottom left, we have the pedal assist level. Right now it's on level 1. Every time you turn on the bike, that's what it starts at. If you want to crank it up, you simply press the up arrow here on the left, and the bike can go up to 5 pedal assist. Obviously, the higher you crank that up, the more assistance you're going to get from the battery. Go ahead and move that back down to 0. You can also turn the pedal assist off completely. As you see, I have it on 0. If you really want to get a good workout, which you will, as this bike comes in at 71 pounds. So if you ever run out of battery or you're just in the mood for a great workout, that's always an option. We have a Samsung battery rated up to 800 charge cycles. It's a 48 volt, 672 watt-hour battery. Right now the bike is in the on position with the key here. I'll go ahead and zoom in a bit so you can see the different positions we have. I'll remove the key. Kind of hard to see there in the camera. When the key's in, straight up, we got the bike on. If I flip it one over, the bike is off and the battery is locked to the frame of this bike, which is nice, so I can run into the store and I'm not going to be worried about someone taking the battery. Also, I can press here, do one more flip down, and now I can actually remove this battery by sliding it straight up. So that's nice. If I'm at work and I'm going to be gone for a few hours, I can take the battery with me and not worry about someone taking it. Rad Power does claim that you'll get up to 45 miles plus on a charge. Now obviously that depends on how much pedal assist you're using, how much you weigh. I weigh 230 pounds, so I'm a big guy. What kind of terrain you're riding on. So I would say that they're pretty realistic in those numbers. I've been pretty happy with the real world distances and mileage that I've gotten out of my battery charges. And also they have a top speed of 20 miles an hour on this bike, so it scoots along nicely. If you guys have ridden bikes for a while, or maybe it just takes one time, and you were wearing pants, you likely got your jeans or whatever pants you were wearing caught in the front chainring. Fortunately, Rad Power did put a guard here on the chainring, so that's not going to be an issue. And I find that to be quite handy because this is a commuter bike. People often are not in workout attire as they're riding this bike. So that's a very nice feature that I much appreciate. We do have a Bafang hub motor. Maybe some of you with a little more experience can chime in and tell me what kind of quality this hub motor is. I've been told that the hub motor electric bikes are generally some of the more entry level. They do create what's called a direct drive motor e-bike, and the drive would be right here. I've been told those are a little more of the higher end ones. Here at the back of the bike, we do have a tail light. So when the headlight is flipped on, this tail light will be on. And it also has a brake light. So there we have our rear disc brake and adjustable kickstand. I did flip on the headlight so we can get a look at that. And jumping to the display here once more, I forgot to mention a couple of things. With the headlight on, the display does light up and you can change from a couple different brightness levels. One of my favorite features of this bike is the USB port that it comes with, so I can be charging my phone as I'm riding. I love that. And lastly, it does come with the bell. Reason number 2, the amount of accessories that are available for this bike. If you notice, when I was doing the walkthrough a minute ago, I didn't mention anything about the orange rack you see here, or the basket, or the bag. These are all items that I purchased separately from Rad Power, and I installed them myself. Rad does offer quite a few different types of accessories. I'm going to use this bike for commuting quite a bit to work, so this was the best setup for me. They do also sell a child seat. I do like that they already have the mounts here for the rack. They have the mounts up here, so you can install a rack up there as well. And they also have a mount here, typically what you would use for a water bottle. But they have a whole lot of accessories. They do sell different size racks. This is the small one. They have a larger one. Obviously you could put a larger bag in there. I like that the bag actually straps to the basket with these little Velcro straps there. This bag is not insulated. They do make insulated bags. I saw a couple pictures of the bag with the pizza boxes in it. Be kind of cool if you use your Rad bike as a pizza delivery vehicle. I'd encourage you to jump on their website and see all of the different options you have for accessories. And reason number 3, you see this right here? That's what they call the Step-Thru model. Rad Power does make a very similar bike to this that I was also looking at. It's called a RadRover 5. It's more of your traditional mountain bike. It has the top tube that comes up here. And honestly, that was visually a bit more appealing to me when I was checking these bikes out. But I really liked the fact that I could swing my leg up and over in the middle of the bike instead of having to swing my leg over the back. I am 6'4", so I can manage that, but I'll show you what it looks like when I attempt to do that. When I would mount, a traditional bike, my mountain bike, I would usually swing my leg up and over the back there, and that's just not comfortable when you got the rear rack. With this bike, I can walk right up to it and swing my leg up and over that way. So it's a lot more what they call approachable. The standover height of this bike, it's 20.25 inches. Even shorter riders will have no problem at all just stepping right up and over that little support right there. And reason number 4, the upright riding position. Look at the height of these handlebars. That is great. Coming from mountain biking my whole life, honestly, my upper back, my shoulders, they would just ache after a long ride, and I really like that you can sit upright on this bike. And I mean, I can go out for 20 miles and really not be fatigued or affected at all. Rad Power does say this bike fits riders from 5'4" to 6'2". I am 6'4", so I'm a little taller than that. You can purchase a seat post that would accommodate taller riders. I'll say that I've gotten pretty used to the height of this bike. It might be just a tad bit short for me, but honestly, it's not a huge deal. This bike is an inch taller than the RadRover 5, that other bike I was checking out. This bike stands at 47.5 inches, those handlebars, and the RadRover 5 is 46.5 inches. So that was one more reason why I chose this bike over the Rover 5. Reason 5, this is what they refer to as a Class 2 e-bike. So in addition to the pedal assist I get from this bike, I also get a twist throttle, which is really nice. That means I can essentially treat this bike like a moped. I can
Just twist there and the bike will pick up speed. Where I find that to be especially useful is if I'm starting out from a stop. So if I'm in a higher gear and I'm only at pedal assist number 1 or 2, it's going to require quite a bit of effort for me to get up to speed. I can hit that throttle there for a couple seconds, get up to speed, and continue on with my cadence. I really like that feature about this bike. The Class 1 e-bikes just have the pedal assist feature and no throttle. So that was a big selling point for me when I was looking at e-bikes in general. Reason 6, the overwhelmingly positive reviews that this bike has. As I was reading reviews on this particular model, most everybody had a lot of great things to say about it. Very few negative comments, and the ones that were there, I would say people were being pretty nitpicky or unrealistic in their expectations for what you get for $1,500. Last but not least, number 7. It's very rare that a company is known for positive customer support, and that's exactly what I found when researching Rad Bikes. There were a lot of people out there that spoke very highly of the service that they had received from Rad Power, and I can attest to that. When I was assembling this bike, I was installing the rear rack and it wasn't fitting quite right. I wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong. I sent a quick email to Rad Power and I was expecting a reply maybe within 48, 72 hours. And within less than an hour, they came back with a very helpful answer that answered my questions, and I was quite impressed by that. So I've already had a great interaction with them and their customer support. Okay, so now you have the 7 biggest reasons why I chose the 2020 RadRover Step-Thru 1 as my first e-bike. This bike isn't perfect. It's entry level, so it doesn't have the best components. It's 71 pounds, which is heavy even for an e-bike. As far as complaints about this bike go, I really only have 2 complaints, and they're pretty trivial. When the bike came to me and I put it together, the front brake pad was rubbing on the disc, and I had to adjust it, which really is not a huge deal. It was kind of a pain there starting out. And then also the front wheel gets a speed wobble when I get to about 15 miles an hour. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on there. It's when I'm hanging on lightly or I take my hands off of the handlebars. That's when it happens. I'm gonna reach out to Rad and see what they can share with me regarding that. But really, I mean, those are my only 2 complaints that I have so far on this bike at 161 miles. So really, I'm pretty happy overall with it. I do also want to mention that I got $100 off because I'm a former military, and I believe that applies to law enforcement as well. I'll put a link in the description below on where you can find that deal. So kudos to Rad Power for offering that discount. If you guys want to see more videos like this video and subscribe to the channel. I look forward to doing more reviews such as this. All right guys, thanks so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you around.